And in this nation, I'm worried that we are on the verge of bloodshed. This is an attempt to take us back to a day that we do not want to go, and we will not go. Therefore, there will be conflict. I pray that the peace of God will win out and overcome the madness that is attempting to take over this nation. And I will say to you, beloved, no one likes violence, but sometimes violence is necessary. When Elon Musk forces his way into the United States Treasury and threatens to steal your personal information and your Social Security check, there is the possibility of violence. Sometimes the devil will act so ugly that you have no other choice but to get violent.
That's Reverend Steve Cottle out of Chattanooga, Tennessee, the Greater Second Missionary Baptist Church. Now, we reached out to Reverend Cottle to have him on the show, explain his comments, give a little more context. Our calls were not returned. Weird. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I'm Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by Better Water LLC, betterwater.com. However, we do have Pastor John Amachukwu on the phone, who never shies away from a conversation. Pastor John, thank you for joining us.
Hey, Chris, thank you so much for bringing me on. I hope you're doing well.
Likewise, man. Good to hear from you. John, if you said something similar like to what Reverend Cottle said when you were at World Outreach Church a couple weeks ago, how do you think the media would have dealt with that?
They would have said, look, there goes those fascists. There goes those hate-mongering, bigoted Republicans wanting to kill people. That's exactly what they would have said.
How does this guy get away with it? It seems like there's been no media coverage except for on the right from Reverend Cottle's comments over the weekend. And again, my first thought was if John had said something like this, it would have been wall-to-wall coverage.
Yeah, it definitely would have been. The thing is, the media, legacy media at that, protects individuals who become puppets by the puppet master. And so they're going to cover that. They're not going to expose it. They're going to act as if it never happened because they're calling against violence. They're calling for violence against conservatives. You know, this is the kind of rhetoric and hate speech that led an evil and deranged person to want to assassinate President Trump.
Yep.
And so we should take these things seriously. The FBI needs to contact this gentleman. He needs to be forced to apologize or even arrested for those statements. Those are not healthy statements, nor are they biblical statements. The Bible does not endorse, quote unquote, violence. It doesn't, all right? That scripture that he's referencing there, that the kingdom of heaven suffers violence and the violence taken by force, is talking about what the kingdom of heaven has endured as relates to people raiding it and fighting against it. It does not endorse us to now go and take weapons and to seek to harm and endanger other people. That's not what it's saying. We know this to be true because when you take a look at the conversation that Jesus even had with Peter, you know, Peter, when the Roman soldiers came to capture Jesus, Peter pulled out his sword and cut off a man's ear by the name of Malchus. He was the servant of the high priest. And Jesus tells him, hey, man, don't do that. Put your sword up. If I wanted to, I could have called for 72,000 angels to come and protect me. And then Jesus does something that's very kind that only he could do. He picks up the man's ear from the ground and puts it back on. But we do see in Scripture where the Bible does tell us that we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against spiritual wickedness and darkness in high places. And so we're not called to incite violence against our oppressors and or our enemies. Yes, we have a right to bear arms. That's our Second Amendment. But what this preacher is calling for is not biblical. It is antithetical to the gospel, and we need to expose these kinds of people.
Absolutely. I want to know, if you had a chance to sit down with Reverend Cottle, what would you say to him after hearing these kind of comments? Would you be angry? Or are you going to try and wake him up to the lies that the left is telling him? How would you approach a conversation with a gentleman like this?
Well, you know, the Bible says that a soft answer turns away wrath. I mean, this guy is angry enough, so I wouldn't meet fire with fire. but I would ask them some pointed questions. I would ask them first and foremost, what was your response when Roe v. Wade was overturned? How did you respond when we had the opportunity to slow down the trend of babies being aborted, white, Hispanic, Asian, Pacific Islander, others, but especially black babies? I would like to know, did he ever march in the streets to stop the bloodshed that Planned Parenthood has wrought upon the black community? Since 1973, 20 million black babies are missing. I would want to know if he's marching for that. But the sad thing is, one of the takeaways that I know I would have from that conversation, and you can see it from the outside looking in, is that he positions government in a role where government now becomes God.
Yep.
And God becomes demoted. God becomes the peasant, and government becomes God. You know, and if I strongly believe also, Chris, that if you were to inspect this guy and see who's funding him and who's supporting him, he's probably getting supported overwhelmingly by the federal government.
Yeah, it wouldn't shock me. I mean, we've seen how much churches are making via the NGO route and illegal immigration and things like that. So that's what you would say to Reverend Cottle. How would you address his congregation if you had the opportunity? Say he's removed from power at this church and they bring in Pastor John Amachukwu. How would you address the congregation? Because I'm listening to the clip and you hear people in the background yelling, "Amen," preach. How do you change their hearts and minds when they've been led astray like this?
Well, the Bible says that my people suffer for the lack of knowledge. And so he has probably preached a more liberal and black liberal theology-driven gospel, a gospel that pits the black man versus the white man, labeling the white man as the white devil and the black man as the proverbial victim who has been hated on from the infancy of this great country. And so first and foremost, I would teach to them simple truths, that the Bible teaches us to love our neighbors as ourselves. Yes, America has had some terrible places and spots in its history where we had to overcome a great deal as a people, as a black community, but we're not in those places today. And so I would seek to find a point of unity to open their eyes, to show them that government isn't God. We're not called to commit violence against our brothers and sisters in Christ. And whether they're in Christ or not, we're still not called to do that. I would also seek to ask those people, what are they currently doing themselves to better themselves? The Bible says that the poor will be with us always. And there's a reason for that, Chris. It's because poverty is a mentality for some people. It's a mentality. It's a thought process. And so he's talking about the Social Security check in the message. He's talking about them, the government having access to, Elon Musk having access to our personal information and documents. But all of these things are a big lie. And so I would just hit the issue head on with that congregation and hope that there will be some reasonable, level-headed person in there.
Yep. Do you think there are level-headed people in that church?
Yes, I do, because, hey, man, there are many people that we've seen come from the left and move over to the right solely because they heard a different message. If you teach a person one thing all of their days, all of their life, that's all they know. It's one of those things where, really what he's doing is he's poisoning his congregation. But as he builds up the government as the bastion for all of our support and all of our financial well-being, then these people are duped and they're led to believe this big lie. Rat poisoning is 99% good ingredients, but it's the 1% that can kill you. And so what these wolves do, they creep into churches and they teach sermons where there's a part of truth, but a part of truth is not the whole truth. A message delivered that still twists and distorts the truth of God is still a false message. And so, yes, I think there are good people and good hearts and individuals who can be redeemed in that church.
Is there anything in the church world that could be done? A lot of people say, that, they should lose their 501c3 status. They should lose their nonprofit status and teach this pastor a lesson. What do you think about that? Is there a route to go that way with the church? Because I would imagine if you preach the same kind of message with the same kind of rhetoric against the left at your congregation, you would face some repercussions. Is there a way to do that? Is that something that you think is the right thing to do? Or how would you go about it if somebody said, John, you fix this?
Well, I think that this gentleman broke the law. He's inciting violence, first and foremost. And so he needs to be personally penalized for that. I do believe this, that we do need to repeal the Johnson Amendment, which was enacted in 1954, which Lyndon B. Johnson used to silence more of his conservative pastors who would be essentially his detractors and speak out against him. I do believe that pastors have a right to preach the gospel, to preach the truth, and that they should not be in a position where they're afraid to lose their 501c3 tax-exempt status. I do believe that should be the case, and that President Trump should get back to that campaign plank that he lobbied on to remove the Johnson Amendment. However, I think this gentleman is a criminal. He's a criminal, and he should be penalized to the nth degree for doing so and for saying these things and to incite violence and tell people to essentially harm Elon Musk and those who are in the Trump administration. That's what I think should be the response. However, we should repeal the Johnson Amendment, and churches should be free to preach the truth.
I'm here for that. And it blows my mind, though, because I see God moving in this administration in ways that I've never seen God moving politically. How does this pastor not see that?
Well, the wolf in sheep's clothing is a mastermind of charades and hiding behind the truth that he knows, but keeping it from people. This man is not working for God, per se, the God of the Bible. He's working for the God of his belly, his own desires, his own passions, what he wants America to look like. He's not serving Jesus. He's serving Reverend Cottle. And so that's one of the things that you have to point out. He doesn't want to see the good in white people. He doesn't want to unite America, because if he unites America and allows America to heal and no longer pull off the scab of racism, then that means that he might lose his job. Then he loses his followers. Then he loses his paycheck. And so this is a activist gone corrupt that is seeking to divide America so that he can continue to receive a paycheck.
It seems to me that so often, and we're talking with Pastor John Amachukwu, that these pastors that go astray, they're more concerned about the money and the butts in the seats than they are about the message. Am I wrong in saying that?
Yes. I mean, it's true. The Bible tells us that the love of money is the root cause to all evil, which some men have coveted after and have pierced themselves through with many sorrows. It's that quest to make another dollar. And then you begin to lose your Christian ethics as you seek to make money. And don't get me wrong, money is a necessary tool. Money can serve a good purpose, but when you love it so much that you're willing to incite violence, that you're willing to pit blacks against whites in order to make a dime, that's when it becomes corrupt. And so, yes, there's some pastors who are driven more by the check than they are the cross.
And that's got to change, man. That's got to change.
Yes, indeed. It has to change. It's not every pastor. There's still some great pastors out there. Pastor Alan Jackson, World Outreach Church, he's doing a phenomenal job. And there are many others, that are standing for truth and boldly proclaiming the gospel. But there are some bad actors out there, and so, but we know what the Bible says about them. The Bible says that God is going to allow the wheat to grow with the tare, and that when he comes back, he will separate the sheep from the goats.
Yep. And Pastor John Machukwu, we appreciate you coming on. You are one of those bold pastors who is not fearful for speaking the truth. How can people follow you and keep up with the work that you're doing, John?
Yes, you can go to iknowgod.us to support my work and follow me on my YouTube channel at REVWU Truth. That's Rev Woo Truth.
Pastor John Machukwu, I thank you for your time, and I thank you for your expertise. I really do, John. Thank you so much, man.
Hey, God bless you, brother.
Hey, God bless you. That's Pastor John Machukwu at RevWoo Truth. He is one of the best, and I thank him for joining the show. It's Chris Hand here, and I want to tell you about another guy that I really like, Shane Ring, over at Cover Nash. You need health insurance, you should get health insurance, but you don't want to pay an arm and a leg. You want to talk to somebody who has access to the whole market, not a call center agent with limited options and limited coverage. Shane Ring is here for you with over 20 years of experience in health insurance and over 75 different companies to shop from. He can get you any type of plan in the market. In fact, some of these plans could even pay you when you use them, and Shane can easily save you 30 to 60% on your monthly premiums. And when I say easily, I mean easily. Go ahead and give Shane Ring a call today. Let him know that Chris Hand sent you. He'll show you how much you could be saving on quality coverage right now. 615-465-0023 is the phone number, or if you prefer the website, covernash.com. But the phone number, call him today, 615-465-0023 to book an appointment with Shane Ring. Get a quality health plan managed by you, not the government, covernash.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
It doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
All right, heads up, drivers. Got a report of some flooding blocking the left lane of 65 northbound before Old Hickory Boulevard in Madison. And Hamas has a response to President Trump's threat. We've got that and more at 11 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. 10:58 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. A big thank you again to Pastor John Amachukwu for jumping on the show. One of the things that I love when John comes on, the Super Text line is always very, very active. And the moment that Pastor John Amachukwu comes on, it's like the text line just shuts down. Everybody's just listening.
They're so engaged. It's wild.
They're taking it in, and I love it. If you want to find John, a lot of people asking where they can find him. At RevWu Truth, REVWU Truth, on just about every platform, Instagram, X, and YouTube. And while you're on YouTube, find us, Super Talk TV, active right now on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. Hit like and subscribe while you're there on the Super Talk 99.7 WTN page. The show is brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. You know why you need to go to Better Water LLC, right?
That turned the friggin' frogs gay.
Betterwater.com. Donald Trump is demanding all of the assassination records be released. Trump has ordered the Secret Service to provide every bit of information about his would-be two assassins. He said, I'm entitled to know, according to the New York Post. And the stories are wild. Did you hear what happened to one of his motorcades on the campaign trail?
No, I didn't.
They had to shoot down a drone.
Oh, interesting.
I know this story's just breaking. I'll bring it to you when we return. The Secret Service on the campaign trail had to take out a drone flying above President Trump's motorcade. You didn't hear about it in the news, did you? We'll cover it for you next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Eleven o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Rain may be a factor in a Williamson County school bus crash with 16 students on board. Fortunately, no one was hurt this morning there at Brindle Ridgeway and Fenwick Lane. Looks like there was some damage. Street lamp laying on its side there at the intersection. The students just loaded onto another bus and headed off to school anyway. Channel 4's Stefano DiPietro says we're not going to start drying out until Thursday at the earliest.
Multiple rounds of rain each day. Individual downpours are obviously going to cause travel impacts. And then when you factor in all of the rainfall we're going to get overall across that 3-day span, rivers and creeks are likely to rise, run high. There could even be some river and creek flooding.
Now, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers Nashville District says it's monitoring, ready to adjust reservoir operations to mitigate, and a reminder drivers. Right now, the left lane of 65 northbound before Old Hickory Boulevard in Madison is blocked by flooding. High-level meetings at the White House today. President Trump with the King of Jordan as Trump pressures other countries to take in Palestinians from Gaza. Hamas responding to threats by President Trump, saying Israeli hostages can only be brought home from Gaza if Israel respects the ceasefire deal. Here's Mary Bruce.
Trump saying if Hamas doesn't release all of the hostages by midday Saturday, the ceasefire deal should be canceled altogether.
That's Israel's decision, but as far as I'm concerned, if all of the hostages aren't returned by Saturday at 12 o'clock, I think it's an appropriate time. I would say cancel it and all bets are off and let hell break out.
It comes as Trump is doubling down on his plan for the U.S. to take over Gaza.
And there are reports in this country egg prices could go even higher. What's up, Matt Gutman?
Egg prices could go up another 20% this year, according to the Department of Agriculture. And because of the life cycle of hens, it would likely be another 6 months before new healthy flocks mature and prices stabilize. And that's assuming that there are no additional bird flu outbreaks.
Back here in Middle Tennessee, a group of thieves hit several Murfreesboro hotels and apartment complexes on Sunday, breaking into nearly 40 cars between 3 and 5 Monday morning. 3 men caught on hotel surveillance cameras shattering car windows, like this guy visiting from East Tennessee spoke to Channel 4.
I just walked out, was getting ready for school, noticed glass everywhere, and walked over, and my window was broke. I had a pair of boots and a firearm stolen, so I was very shocked.
Murfreesboro police say so far 5 guns, belongings like random things, and 2 cars were stolen during that short period of time. Officers later found those 2 cars wrecked. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
.1106 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? It's Chris Hand. The show is brought to you by our friends at Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. Talk to Craig or Brandy. They'll hook you up. We got John Amichukwu who just joined us. Thank you to Pastor John. He's fantastic. Text line still talking about how great he is. And on the way, 11:35, Savannah Hernandez is going to be joining the show. She's a fantastic investigative reporter. She's been up and down the East Coast, tracking down where your tax dollars are being spent and asking the question, why are we spending this on illegal aliens? It's a good question to ask. And she's focusing on cities where we got the mayors that are being called in for questioning at I think it's the Oversight Committee. We'll get the specifics from Savannah Hernandez, but she's focusing on Boston and the Bronx, and she also has a wild story about Act Blue. If you follow Sav, maybe you've kept up with this. If you don't, she's going to blow your mind. I love Savannah Hernandez, so she'll be joining the show in a little while as well. We still got a lot to cover, man. Donald Trump, this story is insane. And it's like, you wonder why we didn't hear this during the campaign. We heard about the 2 assassination attempts, obviously. They got swept under the rug as quickly as they could. Memory hold, if you will. Yeah, I don't even think they happened anymore. Does anybody know if they happened? They might not have. I mean, if you follow mainstream media, you'd think that these things were just a mirage. He didn't even get shot. It was a teleprompter. But just revealed yesterday, the Post-Millennial has this story. Secret Service shot down a drone above a Trump campaign motorcade amid Iran threats. Law enforcement officials reportedly warned Trump's campaign that Iran had placed operatives within the U.S. with access to surface-to-air missiles. And the Trump campaign had significant concerns during the 2024 election regarding those threats, according to an upcoming book by reporter Alex Isentat. I think I'm pronouncing that right. I'm just going to go ahead and say I'm pronouncing it right. Isentat, which includes details of an alarming incident involving a drone following Trump's motorcade in Pennsylvania, prompting an officer in one of the cars to shoot it with an electromagnetic weapon to disable it. Now, I don't want to bury the lead here, but my ADD is saying the Secret Service have electromagnetic weapons? That's wild. I don't know. Maybe this isn't news to you, but I hadn't heard of electromagnetic weapons. But a report published on Axios by Isentat, detailing his forthcoming book, Revenge, the inside story of Trump's return to power, describes U.S. authorities' concerns over a potential attack on Trump orchestrated by Iran during the campaign. According to Isentat, law enforcement officials reportedly warned Trump's campaign that Iran had placed operatives in the U.S. with access to surface-to-air missiles. The Trump team feared that Iranian agents could attempt to take down Trump's private jet, Trump Force One, during takeoff or landing. Concerns intensified after the failed assassination attempt at his golf club in West Palm Beach in September. And while Iran has not officially been linked to that attempt or the more widely known attempt in Butler, Pennsylvania, 2 months earlier, Trump's security detail took Iranian threats seriously. The book claims that at one point, Trump traveled to an event using a decoy plane owned by businessman Steve Witkoff, while most of his staff remained on Trump Force One. Could you imagine being the staff that remained on Trump Force One? Hey, we're going to put Trump on a decoy plane, and you guys are going to be on Trump Force One because Iran might blow up the plane. That'd be a bit nerve-wracking, wouldn't it? So that was one of them. Some aides were reportedly unaware of the switch until just before takeoff. I'd be biting my nails that whole flight. But the book also details other security threats, including a Secret Service warning after a New York rally in September that intelligence suggested someone might attempt to shoot at Trump's motorcades. These revelations came ahead of the book's release on March 18th. They also follow recent remarks from Trump after returning to office, in which he stated that he had instructed his team to obliterate Iran if he were to be assassinated. But Secret Service shot down a drone above a Trump campaign motorcade amid those threats. Not with a firearm, with an electromagnetic weapon to disable it. What does an electromagnetic weapon even look like? Like, I'm picturing something out of Batman. Is anybody else picturing something out of Batman? Is that just me? Maybe that's like my warped 90s kid brain, but I just immediately go to Batman.
I go to Batman or Iron Man. Those are the two. I was like, Batman's more like, yeah, no. He's all tech. He's all tech, man.
Yeah, I go right to Batman.
Yeah.
I don't go Tony Stark. I go Bruce Wayne.
That's fair.
Yeah, every time.
I'm just an Iron Man fan.
I don't really want to go down this road, but
that's all I like to do.
There's no comparison. Batman over Iron Man all day. All day.
I think Iron Man would win, personally.
Okay.
Batman without prep time, Iron Man. Batman with prep time, Iron Man loses by far.
No, I don't agree with any of that. Mason's wrong, but that's okay. That's okay. I don't want to. All right, but we had a lot of near assassination attempts on Donald Trump. Let's just we'll agree to disagree.
We'll
on
agree.
Batman, Iron Man, but
we'll agree that the U.S. is getting wild with these EMP guns here.
EMP guns, that's nuts, right?
That's so cool.
It's
wild.
It's very cool.
It's kind of cool.
I wonder what they learned from the drone, obviously, because I think the thought process would be not to destroy it, so that we can learn from it. But if it fell from a fall, high up, it probably was destroyed anyway.
They've been making drones a lot more durable recently, though.
Okay.
Maybe.
But one Secret Service agent is speaking out, and he's talking about Trump's near assassination attempts and blaming the Secret Service's affinity for diversity, equity, and inclusion and all the initiatives that were around the Secret Service. He said that led to Trump's near assassination attempt over the summer. The Daily Mail has a story. The bombshell testimony from an active Secret Service agent lends credence to the skepticism that the agency tasked with protecting America's top politicos has strayed from its core mission in a quest to be more inclusive, thus leading to 2 attempts on Trump's life in July and September last year. I believe agendas have taken priority at the United States Secret Service for a long time, which is why Butler and July 13th happened and why we got a president shot. 13-year veteran Rashid Ellis revealed. Ellis, 43, a graduate of the Citadel, a prestigious military university in South Carolina, and currently serves on the Secret Service Counter-Assault Team, a small specialized team of heavily armed agents that protect the president. His damning claims about DEI leading to Trump's near assassination attempt in Butler, Pennsylvania during that July 13th rally came during a trailer for an upcoming documentary, Qualifications, Not Quotas, produced by the Independent Women's Forum. In the clip, the agent speaks about how DEI policies at the Secret Service have undermined the group's readiness. We've had these conversations ad nauseum, and I'm just grateful for people at the Secret Service speaking out about this, unfearful, about what the repercussions may be. Although now that Trump has won, those repercussions seem few and far between when you're just speaking the truth. Under Biden, speaking the truth could have cost you your job. This is just a wild story. In the clip, he speaks out about how the DEI policies at the Secret Service have undermined the group's readiness. And Rashid Ellis, is black, claims that when it was time for him to get promoted, he was passed over for a less experienced candidate due to a hiring quota. Unbelievable. The Secret Service's goal of hitting 30% female hires. We've talked with Susan Crabtree, Real Clear Politics, about this ad nauseum. 30 for 30, right? They wanted 30% of the force to be 30% to be female by 2030. 30 for 30. The Secret Service's goal of hitting 30% female hires crushed Ellis's chances of a promotion, he claims, and he's now blowing the whistle on a system that fosters resentment, destroys morale, and prioritizes gender over merit. I feel like Michael J. Fox in Back to the Future. It's like, hey, I've seen this one before. I've seen this. Yep. To be in the Secret Service, you have to be worthy of trust and confidence, Ellis says in the clip. I've always viewed it as an honor and a privilege to serve in this capacity. However, what I've been told and what I've seen with the United States is a different set of standards based on gender. Former Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheadle, who resigned from the agency in July after getting skewered by Congress for her handling of the Butler rally, had previously been an outspoken advocate for DEI. And she said many, many times that she wanted that 30 for 30 goal accomplished. Under her leadership, the agency was tasked of hitting a goal of 30% female staffing. Standards be damned. We got to hit 30%. Saying we must embrace diversity, equity, and inclusion and accessibility across the agency, writing that in an internal memo. Ellis claims he was the victim of these initiatives and that they make Secret Service less effective and they don't prioritize competence. Ellis, again, a black man speaking out about DEI, which is just wild. He says, listen, they focus too much on gender, not enough on merit. He got passed over for a promotion because of it. Real danger is out there, Ellis says, and we need to restore confidence. We have been focused on the threat outside and the threat that's in front of us. Yep. He said, though I welcome the change of leadership at the top of the agency and the reforms I hope they will prioritize, I worry that it will take years to rectify the damage that the discriminatory diversity, equity, and inclusion policies have caused. Ellis told Real Clear Politics in a statement. This is throughout industries, though. It's wild. There's a private school, which I won't name, that leadership had put in a bunch of DEI policies and hires, and I made a statement similar to that. Like, well, we could have leadership changes at this school, but it will still take years upon years to weed out the hires. You can't snap your fingers and fire everybody immediately. And this is at all levels of industry that put these DEI quotas in place. It's not just the Secret Service. It's all of these grocery stores and department stores that had DEI policies also. It's going to take time to get rid of the hires that were made under these initiatives. And this is true at the Secret Service as well. Though I welcome the changes at the top of the agency and the reforms I hope they will prioritize, I worry that it will take years to rectify the damage that the discriminatory diversity, equity, and inclusion policies have caused. Said the Secret Service's role is critical, and if we do not clean out the rot that has embedded itself in this agency, our people and our protectees will pay the price. And we almost did on July 13th in Butler, Pennsylvania. We were just a quarter of an inch away from civil war in this country, and that's not hyperbole. Like, honestly, this country would have melted down if Donald Trump was assassinated. By the grace of God, he turned his head. I think it was divine intervention. But these policies made him less safe, and these policies hired a lot of people who are still in place at a lot of these agencies. It's going to take a long time to clean it out. Leadership is a great place to start, but make no mistake about it, there's a lot more change that needs to happen across the board. And you got to root some of these people out. You have to. He said, if we don't clean out the rot that has embedded itself in this agency, our people and our protectees will pay the price. Notably, the Butler shooting was not the only attempt on Trump's life in the last year. In September, we know what happened at the golf course. Soon after Secret Service spotted the man, they opened fire on him. They missed. He fled. A lot of questions about those assassination attempts, and Donald Trump is going to try and get to the bottom of it. He said in a statement to the New York Post that he is demanding every bit of information about his two would-be assassins, saying, I'm entitled to know. You're damn right he's entitled to know. And I think there's a lot of weird questions about crooks in Butler, Pennsylvania, and Routh in Florida that still need to be answered. In Crooks' case, a 20-year-old kid with no social media platforms, nothing. A weirdly sterilized house with no silverware. Too spooky for me, bro. Routh, the Ukrainian conflicts, right? He was recruiting people to go fight in Ukraine. Too spooky for me. It's above my pay grade, but I hope we get some answers. Is it too spooky for you? It's too spooky for me.
I love that.
I'm just saying.
I mean, hey, you're right on the money for it.
Listen, when we understand that a lot of these agencies can't keep you safe, right? There's only one reasonable thing to do, and that's keep yourself safe. Now, when I try to keep myself and my family safe, I do a lot of training, and the training that I do is at the GlockStore. And all month long in February, it's time to aim for the heart at the GlockStore. 2-for-1 shooting lessons at the GlockStore. 2 people for the price of 1 in a private shooting room at shoot270.com. You book it, and you get 2 shooters for the price of 1 in a private room. I had somebody hit me up on Twitter yesterday. They said, Chris, I didn't see the deal online. Well, you're not going to see the deal online. You need to know a guy who knows a guy. And you know me, Chris Hand. I know Lenny McGill at the GlockStore. So when you get there, after you book your session at shoot270.com, you say, Chris Hand sent me, and then boom, it's 2 shooters for the price of 1 all month long at the GlockStore, minutes from the airport, worth the drive from anywhere. Book your session today, shoot270.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
All right, drivers, still got some flooding blocking the left lane, 65 northbound, right before Old Hickory Boulevard in Madison. And who doesn't like a tuna fish sandwich? Better check the pantry because there's a recall. We'll tell you about it at 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Ken Weaver says, who doesn't like a tuna fish sandwich? And I think I don't.
I knew it.
It's me.
I was thinking that when I said it. I was
me.
thinking about Brother Hand going, not a fan.
Not a fan at all. The weirdest thing, too, to me is like, okay, you eat tuna fish? Yeah, already weird. Not going to lie. Already weird. But even weirder are the people that go to like a sub shop and buy tuna fish sandwiches.
Not knowing how long they've sat there.
That's a different level of judgment than just the people that enjoy tuna fish on their own time. I'll be honest with you. You like it so much that you'll pay above store prices for that stuff?
Dude, I once ate a tuna fish sandwich that had sat in my back car window during a 3-hour hike.
Oh, my gosh.
And I never got sick.
That's impressive.
You got a stomach of steel.
I got an iron stomach. Yeah. I don't know why I did that. I was real hungry.
You're a madman.
You could hear it wafting all the way up the trail.
Yeah, I had left the snacks. You know, we headed up the trail, got too far away to go back for the snacks.
Yeah.
And finished the hike. So when we got back, there's a little lunchbox sitting up in the back window.
Was it like a cooled lunchbox or was it just a
No, it's back in the
box?
day. I think it was a brown bag. Was it a brown bag?
No, it wasn't a brown bag. It was a nice little it was what did they call those? It was kind of like a fanny pack.
Oh, yeah.
Remember those? And, it was real warm.
That is vile. That is.
Hey, it's just like putting it on the stovetop.
Maybe it was the acid from the pickles in it that killed any type of botulism.
You know, Joan Jones, Philly Joan, brought us in Philly cheesesteaks.
I know.
And it's like ruined my appetite completely hearing you talk about 3-hour-old tuna fish. Like I was looking forward to lunch, and I no longer am.
Sorry about that, Brother Chris.
That's Ken Weaver. He'll ruin your lunch in the news. I guarantee it.
Could slather some tuna on there.
This guy. All right. You know what? Even more crazy than Ken Weaver eating a 3-hour-old tuna fish sandwich, Jamie Raskin is now calling to impeach President Musk. Yep.
All right.
I know. I told you. Honestly, a 3-hour-old tuna fish sandwich is preferable than listening to Jamie Raskin. But that's what he's saying.
Look, does not like the idea that a guy who would not even be constitutionally eligible to run for president is acting as president. A guy who, if he were president, would be impeached immediately because he's taking billions of dollars in foreign government emoluments from all over the world. And some people have actually been talking about impeaching President Elon Musk right now, on the theory that he's usurped the powers of the presidency. So
I got to impeach President Musk. That's what Jamie Raskin says. He talks about world leaders and how they're losing their funding. And I don't hear that. Do you? Do you hear that anywhere? I don't hear it. In fact, the only world leader I've really heard speaking out about losing funding was former Kenyan President Uhuru.
Trump has removed money. He said he's not giving us any more money. Watu wanalia. Why are you crying? It's not your government. It's not your country. He has no reason to give you anything. I mean, you don't pay taxes in America. He is appealing to his people. Shauri yenu bwana. This is a wake-up call for you to say, okay, what are we going to do to help ourselves?
Yeah, honestly, wake up. What are you going to do to help yourself? We're not going to fund Iraqi Sesame Street to the tune of $20 million anymore. We're not going to fund transgender comic books for Peru. We're not going to fund DEI musicals in Ireland. We're not going to fund transgender operas in Colombia. We're not going to fund opium farming in Afghanistan. Do I need to keep going? I don't think I need to keep going. But cutting off all this funding has made a lot of people very, very mad. Democrats losing their mind, except for one Democrat, John Fetterman. He is slamming his party as toxic.
Why is the Democratic Party viewed as toxic by so many? Like, even people inside the party acknowledge that.
I think their primary currency was shaming and scolding and talking down to people.
Yeah, listen, and that's what we're getting right now. They think you're too stupid to understand what's happening. So they think if they repeat a lie often enough, it will be viewed as the truth. But nobody's buying what they're selling anymore. They have lost their stranglehold on the narrative, and they've lost a lot of funding at some of these mainstream media outlets like Politico, like the BBC, like the New York Times. And Elon Musk is not going to stop. A lot of people are talking about impeaching President Musk. Okay. All right. Good luck. Good luck. In the meantime, Trump and his team keep working. And one of the biggest areas that they're working on is illegal immigration. Savannah Hernandez, investigative journalist for Frontlines at Turning Point USA, is going to join the show next. She has been everywhere, from Boston to the Bronx, and she's got a bunch of stories for us, including one about Act Blue, the Democrat fundraising platform that it will absolutely blow your mind. She joins the show next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
11:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. A reminder, drivers, getting some ponding out there on the interstates because of the rain. Right now in Madison, you've got the left lane blocked, 65 northbound, right before Old Hickory Boulevard. Couple of crashes now. This one off on the shoulder, 65 northbound at Harding Place in Creve Hall. Then in Antioch, got a crash on the left shoulder, 24 westbound at Harding Place. Got the full forecast in 5 minutes. Who doesn't like a tuna fish sandwich other than Brother Chris Hand? Well, better check the pantry because there's a recall due to risk of illness due to potentially fatal botulism food poisoning. Canned tuna by Tri-Union Seafood, sold across the country at Trader Joe's, Walmart, and Costco. Here in Tennessee, Alabama, Georgia, and other states. Brand names to look for are Genova, Van Camp's, Trader Joe's, and H-E-B. Anyone with a recalled tuna can may return it to the retailer for a full refund, throw it away, or contact Tri-Union Seafoods directly for a retrieval kit and a coupon for a replacement product. How about egg prices? They're probably going to go higher rather than lower.
Egg prices could go up another 20% this year, according to the Department of Agriculture. And because of the life cycle of hens, it would likely be another 6 months before new healthy flocks mature and prices stabilize. And that's assuming that there are no additional bird flu outbreaks.
President Trump acquaintance Steve Bannon pleading guilty today to defrauding New Yorkers who donated to We Build the Wall, an online fundraiser for Trump's signature project during his first term, in exchange for a sentence without prison time. Here's Bannon.
The existential threat is right here in this city. It is the queen of lawfare. It's Letitia James.
Yeah, and he's not done.
I'm calling on right now the Attorney General Pam Bondi to begin an immediate criminal investigation into Letitia James, Alvin Bragg, all of it for what they did to President Trump.
That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in, and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
It's 11:36 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. My next guest, a great friend of the show, Savannah Hernandez. I think the last time I saw you, we were sitting at a rooftop bar smoking Michael Knowles Daily Wire cigars. Is that right?
Yep, I think so, Chris. That's the last time I saw you. I actually was taking a break. I wasn't smoking cigars. You definitely were. But, you know, the one time in the year when I actually got to take a break and not work.
And you've been on a tear since then. I mean, you've been covering the wildfires. You've been up and down the East Coast. You've been in the Boston. You've been in the Bronx. You've been exposing Act Blue. Savannah Hernandez, the floor is yours. What's the biggest story you're working on?
Well, Chris, I did just get back from Boston and, of course, New York City, and I went to these locations specifically because under the new Trump administration, we are seeing a House Oversight Committee that is calling for these mayors from sanctuary cities to basically account for or basically make them answer for their sanctuary city policies. So next month, we're going to be seeing the mayor of Boston, Denver, New York City, and the last one is slipping my mind right now, Chicago. There we go. They're all going to be speaking in front of this oversight committee to answer for their policies. So I was like, okay, well, what's going on in the cities right now? Of course, the Trump administration has come in. They've really cracked down on illegal immigration. But what we're seeing right now is a fight between the federal government and, of course, these various states that are trying to harbor illegal aliens and, of course, breaking federal law. So what we saw in Boston, for example, is just last Tuesday, their governor, Maura Healey, just allocated and approved $425 million to continue housing illegal immigrants throughout the state. And I had somebody go undercover, pose as an illegal immigrant. And of course, you have city officials that are telling, somebody who is they think an illegal immigrant, hey, don't worry about the police. They don't work with the feds. You are safe here. Unless you have a criminal record, it's fine for you to be in our city. This is a sanctuary city. Even the mayor is an immigrant, no worries. And then you have other city officials that are working in the Immigration Advancement Office in Boston saying, hey, here's how you fill out a voucher so you can get Section 8 housing. And what a lot of these sanctuary cities are doing is they're taking migrants and transferring them from hotel to hotel and trying to give them permanent housing so they can further disperse them throughout their states to hide them from ICE. So that's what's going on in Boston. And of course, we made our way over to New York City because Mayor Eric Adams, he's been buddy-buddy with the Trump administration. And everyone is like, oh, cool, New York is going to comply with ICE.
Yep.
We're going to see mass deportation. Incorrect. Mayor Eric Adams actually just asked for another $1.1 billion from the state of New York to continue sheltering migrants. He stated that it's going to continue to cost billions of dollars. And keep in mind that Pam Bondi just cut off sanctuary cities from federal funding. So it is the New York taxpayers that are continually footing the bill for these illegal immigrants. Adams is planning on moving 2,200 single migrant men specifically into a shelter into the Bronx. And a lot of the residents are extremely pissed off because they had zero say about that. Essentially, City Hall came in and said, hey, instead of renovating this building for American citizens, for residents of the Bronx, we're going to go ahead and allocate $450 million to this contractor to manage this building and various others throughout the city of New York for illegal immigrants. So that is just what I saw. And then you have other breaking news as well right now, Chris, about FEMA sending $59 million last week to continue housing illegal immigrants throughout New York. So, again, I really wanted to shine light on this because we are really seeing a fight between state governments and the federal government in terms of illegal immigration law. And you still have people that are in the U.S. government, in the federal government, that are still trying to siphon our taxpayer dollars towards housing illegal immigrants and hiding them throughout the United States of America.
Woo! Sav, this is wild. Couple thoughts.
That was a lot.
I know. Couple thoughts. It was like a year ago, the governor, Maura Healey out of Massachusetts, said that they couldn't afford this anymore. Right? So that's wild. Mayor Eric Adams, he's not red-pilled. He's still grifting. And I can see the incoming headlines now. There's a housing crisis in New York City. Here's why it's Trump's fault. Am I wrong on any of those three fronts?
No, that's exactly it. And it's so frustrating because, again, you see the problems with the economy, with, again, jobs in the United States of America, with the housing crisis, especially in these big cities. And it's like, wow, how do we fix this problem? And, again, all of these Democrat politicians are like, well, we better take every single issue and instead of working on it for American citizens, go ahead and make it as easy as possible for illegal immigrants to find housing, to find jobs, and make the economy better for them by giving them all of this free stuff at the expense of the American taxpayer.
It's wild. It's absolutely wild. How do they keep getting away with it? And I know you said you had an undercover person going in the Bronx, in Boston. What's the vibe on the ground with the illegal aliens that are there? Do they feel comfortable or are tensions a little bit higher?
Tensions are definitely a lot higher. So we've been doing this undercover work over the past 4 years, especially under the Biden administration. And because the Democratic Party had power, they were a lot more lax. They were a lot more open with what they were willing to say. Again, just, in passing to all of these illegal immigrants coming into the United States of America. But what we are seeing now is that they are on edge because they are aware that they are breaking federal immigration law. And it's really interesting to see because, Donald Trump has only been in office for not even a month at this point, I don't think. Not even a month. And you're already seeing this incredible change in terms of illegal immigration. And the Democratic Party and, again, just any city official who is pushing back against this knows that they are breaking the law, that they will be prosecuted if they continue to break this law. So they're being a lot more careful in terms of the illegal immigrants that are on the ground. They are essentially going to these sanctuary cities because they know that they can seek asylum here, if you will. And I think the most notable thing, this didn't even make the cut of my video, but one of these city officials my informant goes in and he goes, hey, I'm trying to go to California, because typically in these sanctuary cities, you can go get a plane ticket to anywhere in the United States. The city official actually doubled down and said, no, you should stay here because our mayor will fight for you and make sure that you can stay essentially in the United States of America illegally.
Michelle Mayor Wu out of Boston, the one who threw a no whites allowed Christmas party, that mayor.
Yes, that is the mayor, and it's going to be really interesting to see all of these mayors testify in front of that oversight committee next month, because the talking point that they're all trying to put out right now is we can be welcoming, we can be compassionate without sacrificing public safety. But Boston specifically, now the hotel that I went to and shot my report in front of, an illegal immigrant was just arrested with 5,000 grams of fentanyl and an AR-15.
Yep.
He was just arrested in that area. In Boston, you've had a long string of arrests of, child rapists, of murderers. Yep. An illegal immigrant was just charged with murdering an American business owner that way. So there's been a lot of crime tied to illegal immigrants, and it's going to be interesting to see how these mayors try to argue that, especially in the age of information that we're living in now, where, the media, the propaganda that the Democrat Party typically was able to push out can no longer be lied to the American people about. I mean, the truth is out in the open.
Yeah, and I love seeing the lies exposed in real time. They don't know how to handle it. Now, I understand that a lot of the ICE raids are being leaked, and Tom Homan, Kristi Noem pointing fingers at the FBI. But what stops Tom Homan and ICE from saying, okay, well, Mayor Eric Adams, for instance, you're putting all these immigrants, all these illegal aliens in a nice shelter over here. We have the address. We'll go there at 3 a.m.
I don't know, Chris. I really don't know. I wish I had the answer to that, because it seems very cut and dry. I mean, instead of spending $1.1 billion on illegals and moving them into the shelter, how about we put them on a deportation flight and send them back to their countries? I think that'd be a lot cheaper than the $1.1 billion we were planning on, spending to shelter these people. I don't know why. I think, as Tom Homan has spoken about, they are trying to put this focus on the worst of the worst first to try to get them out of the United States of America and try to make sure that our, streets are as safe as possible before going after other illegal aliens. So, that's kind of my guess right now. But, hopefully what we do see is Tom Homan coming in and saying, hey, if you're going to put all of these migrants in one, centralized location, let's go ahead and take them out of this country.
Yeah, and I appreciate that strategy for the optics of everything. But I feel like, you know what, if you're going to put agents in danger because the FBI is leaking information of the ICE raids, how about just 3 a.m. at the shelter? Hey, everybody, wake up. You're going home. I feel like that might be pretty effective. All right, you also have a story about Act Blue and this resist map. Can you break that down for me and everybody, what you found out about Act Blue, the fundraising arm of the Democrat Party?
Of course. So Act Blue right now is trying to create a website called the Resist Map. And what they're essentially going to do is try to alert illegal immigrants to ICE raids in the area. And essentially what we're seeing right now, right, with the leaks happening with these ICE raids, they're trying to make a website so on a nationwide level, illegal immigrants from the West Coast to the East Coast can know if ICE is in their area or ICE raids are happening. So what you're seeing is fundraising and Democrat dollars, taxpayer dollars, or I guess fund contributions to Act Blue going towards creating this website to further break federal immigration law. And again, Chris, it'll be interesting to see what comes of this, because Democrats for the longest time have been able to break the law with impunity. They've been able to do whatever they've wanted to. But now that the Trump administration is in office, you are seeing that crackdown and, again, prosecutions happening, people being held accountable. So regarding Act Blue, they have not created this website yet. They are in the process of fundraising for it. It'll be interesting to see if it comes to fruition, and if it does, who will be held accountable, because that's what the left wing is doing right now. Not only are they trying to further disperse illegals throughout their states, but they're also trying on a nationwide level to help them basically run away from and evade ICE.
Yeah, it's insane. And then you see politicians like Ilhan Omar out there speaking in her native Somali language to Somali immigrants on how to evade ICE. I saw Dan Goldman post a video with Chinese subtitles on how to evade ICE. It's like, what are these people thinking?
Yeah, it's really unfortunate to see congressmen, U.S. congressmen, stand up in front of the nation and put American interests to the side and put the interests of illegal immigrants first. And again, this is not surprising at all. Ilhan Omar has always been Somalia first, and I'm glad that she's being exposed for it now, and we're seeing it on a larger scale, because people do need to be aware that somehow we have people in Congress who care more about these foreign countries and putting their interests first in America. And we need to oust those people. Ilhan Omar should not be in our Congress in any way, shape, or form. She wasn't even born in the United States of America. You know, Chris, this is my thing. It's like, why are we allowing people who are not U.S. citizens, like born in the United States of America, be a part of our Congress? I think Ilhan Omar is the best example as to why we should not allow that. So, you know, that's just kind of my own 2 cents on that. But it's been really just so frustrating to see people in our own federal government just work against us. But as we were seeing with the Doge initiative right now, that's been happening for decades, and I'm glad we're finally cleaning it out.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like there's good stuff on the horizon, but we still got a lot of crap to sift through in the meantime. Savannah Hernandez is a fantastic investigative journalist. I suggest you follow her. Sav, how can we keep up with your reporting?
Go follow me on X at @Sav_says. I also work with, of course, the Frontlines division of Turning Point USA, so go follow us on X there for all of our reporting.
Perfect. Sav is one of the best. Thank you so much for the time, and thank you for your journalism. It is a breath of fresh air in today's media landscape, Sav.
Thank you so much, Chris.
Appreciate it. Savannah Hernandez on the line. It's 11:49 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It's 11:54 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Thank you again to Savannah Hernandez for joining the show. She was on a tear. She's been on a tear. Huge fan of her on X at Sav_says. Big fan of this guy in studio, Chad Benson.
Sav? How do you say it? S-A-V?
Yeah, Savannah Hernandez. Savannah Hernandez.
Hernandez. Does she put the Hernandez in it?
I don't know if she does that. I've never done it.
I love watching newscasters do that. Coming up next, John Rodriguez. We'll talk about the weather.
I can't roll the R's. I can't.
Oh, that is the Mexican in me.
I think the Boston in me just abandoned the R altogether for years.
You guys did. What were your cars and everything?
Yeah, and then I had to train myself. Like for about like a year and a half, I would read street signs out loud on my way to work to try and get my Boston accent gone.
Wow.
And now people accuse me of being Canadian.
Yeah, you know what? When I first started watching you, I'm like, I swear he comes from the East Coast, but that guy sounds like he's Canadian.
Yeah, I get that all the time, and it's because I didn't realize that in trying to train myself out of the Boston accent, I turned myself into a Canuck.
That's okay. You what you want is in a neutral accent.
Yes,
right. Like you're somewhere in the midst of in the middle of it all.
I don't know what to do.
Like one of my best friends was born and raised in Denmark. If you met him, you'd swear he's from London.
Really?
Hey, talks like this. What's going on, mate? Because he lived in London for like 6 or 7 years, and the accent just went right there, and he's never gotten rid of it.
That's insane.
It's so bizarre.
That's wild. My daughter's in a play right now. They're doing Sherlock Holmes. So like I'll go in there, and I'm the dad that sits in the lobby, and I just do work and wait.
Yeah.
Because I'm the helicopter dad. So I hear these kids trying to fake these British accents.
Is it hilarious?
It's so funny. There's this one kid that keeps saying Buckingham Palace, but I keep hearing effing ham salad. And I'm like I'm sitting there doing work, and I'm typing, and then I'm like, did he just say effing ham salad?
It's a good place. What kind of play is this?
It's Sherlock Holmes.
Nice.
Yeah, they're doing Sherlock Holmes. So
what is she playing?
She is Georgie, I believe. I hope she's not listening, because if I got it wrong, I'm in trouble.
You're in trouble. You're absolutely in trouble. How long was your drive?
2 hours today.
I heard about that. My walk was almost 9 minutes.
Dude, that's insane.
I know, I did. I walked it. I was like, you know what? I don't care. It's rain. It's like, what's going to happen to me? I'm not going to melt.
I like the rain.
Yeah.
I lived in Detroit and in Pittsburgh, and it was like you'd have those rain seasons, and I get a little nostalgic for rain sometimes, and I'm like, I like a little gray.
It was nice. It was nice. It was a little cool. It was perfect, and our boss was like, did you walk in? I'm like, of course I walked in. I said, I lived in Europe for a decade. This is nothing. This is like a day.
Well, then you get what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
in Michigan, you get like that season of gray.
Yes.
And it's like once you get away from it, you're like, I kind of miss the gray. Like I
Yeah.
could use a day of gray.
Just a day of gray, a little sunshine. Like, because living in Arizona, we just had, we had pictures of what rain looked like. Like this, we heard it's wet. We don't know.
Dude, visiting Arizona, I don't know how anybody could live there full time. It's insane to me. The wind is hot. The wind blows.
The wind is
and it's
hot.
like you open your oven on convect mode, and it's like you get that breeze of hot air. That's middle of the summer in Phoenix, Arizona. And somebody told me, well, it's just the opposite of the East Coast. We spend our summers inside.
Yeah.
And I was like, it still doesn't sound fun.
No, you know what? The nights are beautiful, but man, I tell you what, there are some days where it is, we had 2 summers ago, I think we had like 35 days in a row of 115 or something ridiculous like that.
Yes, no thanks.
Yeah. We had, and the last several years, we've had at least 100 days of 100.
When we almost moved there, I had a coworker, he was like telling me, be careful when your kids are buckling up in the car.
Oh, because how hot it is.
The metal gets so hot, they will burn themselves.
Yeah.
And I'm like, geez.
It is.
What are we doing?
It is crazy. And it's crazy because it'll be like 80 degrees. I'm like, I should probably put a sweater on. Because it'll go from like 115 down to like 80 at night some nights. And you're like, I should probably put a sweater on. Because you feel like 30, 40 degree temperature.
Well, that was like in Detroit. My daughter was born. It was negative 30 with the wind chill the day she was born.
As it is.
And then we took her home, and it was 30, but it was like the best 30 you'd ever felt in your life because it's like a 60-degree swing.
Detroit. How long were you in Detroit?
We were in Detroit for almost 2 years. Wow. I loved it. I really did.
Well, housing's cheap.
Other than the local government, it was so weird. The people in Detroit were always like, you know what? Today sucks, but tomorrow will be better. And then I got to Pittsburgh, and it was like a much better city. But everybody's like, the steel mills aren't coming back, and nothing's ever going to be better.
Today sucks, tomorrow's going to suck.
It's going to get worse.
Totally optimistic.
Yeah, Detroit's like, my neighbor got firebombed, but I'll tell you what, Tomorrow is a new day, brother.
The Red Wings are coming back.
Yes.
The Pistons are looking good. Tigers might
Yes.
make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Lions are great. We're good, right?
Yeah.
We're good. And again, I've been to Pittsburgh on several occasions, and it's like everything's built on a steel mill that's not there.
Yeah, it's insane.
never coming back.
It's insane. What do you got coming up on the show today, Chad?
We're going to talk about the killer asteroid that's coming.
There's a killer asteroid coming.
Yeah. They just found it, and in fact, they're worried so much about it that the James Webb Telescope has emergently been moved over to follow it, but they're calling it a city killer, a regional killer if it was to hit.
So we got to get Bruce Willis on the line.
We might have to. Or who? I don't think many of them are alive. I think all that's left is we got Steve Buscemi, right?
All right.
We got him, right?
We got Steve. Ben Affleck.
Yeah, he's funny. We can bring him back. We got Owen Wilson. We'll bring him back. But obviously, we can't do anything with Bruce.
No.
And the big guy, what's his name? Michael Anthony, with the big guy who was in Green Mile. He's passed away.
So
he was 8,000 pounds of muscle. That's why.
The team's gotten smaller.
The team's gotten smaller.
But we got to get them back together.
It's a smaller one, though, so we're okay with it. We don't need a full team.
Chad's in next. It's 12 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.